Nisa here from Faith Empire, and today I wanted to talk about how to discover some of your deepest and darkest doubts. I know that on the journey of self-discovery, even though self-inquiry is a gift, and I call it such, it is sometimes quite hard for us to get to that space where we do have the time, space, and skills to look at ourselves and to really like extract information and to study ourselves and then make improvements. It takes a lot of time, and I want to share how I got onto the journey of self-inquiry and what really helped me, and then to explain why I set up Faith Empire and how I believe it can help other people. So on my journey, I've always kind of really had some interest in the questions of life. I've always been quite philosophical. Even when I was younger, my understanding of things was quite different, and even thinking about it now, I understood the concept and the illusion of time and life as a journey from the time I was very young. And so I kind of went through life. No one forced me to look at it or push it on me. I was very blessed with parents that were free thinkers, and they allowed me that space to express myself, and I was really beautiful. And I feel like they were placed in my life for a big reason, to help me with that as well. So with self-inquiry, I didn't really fully get into it until I was activated on the twin flame journey. And then I was in a space, I moved countries, and even though I had 2 young children, I was very fortunate to move to a country where I could have a full-time nanny. And having a full-time nanny who lived with us was one of the biggest reasons that I had time to go and fully explore what was happening to me. So everything really coincided beautifully, and I'm very blessed, and I'm very aware that there is a big part of what we don't see that's going on. We have a really wonderful and supportive universe if we are there to have gratitude and invite more of the help that's coming in for us. So I moved to a country where I had the opportunity to have that journey and that space of self-inquiry. I was meditating for up to, I would say, 3-4 hours a day. I was journaling, I was taking classes, I was meeting some of the greatest healers in the world in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is actually a deeply spiritual place. A lot of people go there and they have awakenings, so they have major shifts, and it's not just me. I've spoken to many people who've been in the same scenario, and we do think there's something quite magical about it. And whether it's just because the culture there allows people who moved for work, whether it allows them to have more time, or whether there's just something about it. So I was very fortunate to have that. But when I came back and I started going to a gym here, I had a really nice personal trainer who's a dancer, and he came up to me and he said, there's really something about you. What is it that you do? What is it that you do for yourself that gives you this kind of like energy? And I said, well, I spent some time in Hong Kong, and I kind of gave him a little bit about my routine, how I used to meditate and how I used to do things to really boost up my self-inquiry and my own energy. And he said, well, how would you help people that don't have that chance to go away and have that time? Because that's, the majority of people in this world. And I said, yeah, you're absolutely right. That is majority of people. So Faith Empire is here to create those opportunities for people, but using what you have already. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to go off to a mountain. You don't need to become a monk. You don't need to do anything that you feel you need to do to be on this journey. And I was actually thinking like that when I was younger. I thought, when I want to experience my spirituality, I need to have X, Y, and Z. And boy, was I wrong, because it's not something that you can wait or that you can choose to happen. Sometimes it just happens, and you have to go with it, to go with flow. So Faith Empire is here to focus mostly on the beliefs that we have, because the beliefs that we have about ourselves are built on our experiences that we've had already. They're built on things that are laying in our subconscious, that come from a place because we've already gone through it. So that's why a large part of what I'm trying to do here is to help people focus on looking back, on recreating those scenarios, to really understand where your beliefs come from, where your words, your actions, and the consequences of that have originated from. So you don't need to go anywhere. All you need to do is go within. You don't need to go anywhere special. And the techniques that I'm working on will be faster and effective based on what works for you. So with looking at your life, I wanted to share something from a book that came into my life when I first started my journey as well. So I found this book, Conversations with God, I would say in 2006. So a very long time ago, over almost 14 years ago. And the reason I stumbled upon it, well, I guess it just happened. I was in a really, really bad relationship, and it wasn't the first bad relationship. I'd gone through a series of like really, really horrible relationships, and I'm talking about violence. I'm talking about abuse, dating people who were secretly like criminals. I mean, these things were happening to me, and I couldn't understand how or why I was attracting it, because from where I was sitting, I was raised by a really loving family, and my dad didn't drink alcohol. I mean, very peaceful, very focused, a family that everyone looked up to, and I couldn't understand why I kept bringing people like this into my life. And so I was in a really bad place. I was almost, I would say, anorexic. I was I think dipping under 35 kilos. I was sleeping, I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything because of these relationships that I was attracting and keeping this toxic energy in my life. And so I was walking down a beautiful street in Sydney. It's called King Street in Newtown. And if you've ever been to Sydney or you know about it, Newtown is this beautiful, like, eclectic place. It's got, a bunch of shops, like your secondhand and recycled clothes, vintage clothing, vintage bookstores. And so I ducked into one of them. I stopped and I was like, I'm gonna let the book pick me. That's how I like to do it. I said, well, I'll go with a book that I feel drawn towards. And this was the one that I picked up. Not this exact copy. I've given away so many copies in my lifetime. But this was the book that I picked up, and I came home and I read it and I couldn't put it down. It was exactly what I needed to hear. It was exactly the answers that I was hoping for, because I felt abandoned. I felt abandoned by the divine. I felt abandoned by God. I was like, how can a God exist if a good person or someone who does the best things keeps attracting hurt and pain? And I couldn't understand it. So the reason why I'm relating this back to self-inquiry and how I wish to do this in Faith Empire is because I truly believe we have all the experiences within us already. And chapter 8 in this book really, really hits that point home. So Neil Donald Walsh says, when will I learn enough about relationships to be able to have them go smoothly? Is there a way to be happy in relationships? Must they constantly be challenging? And this is seemingly a question to God. That's how he writes the book. You have nothing to learn about relationships. You have only to demonstrate what you already know. There is a way to be happy in relationships, and that is to use relationships for their intended purpose, not the purpose you have designed. Relationships are constantly challenging, constantly calling you to create, express and experience higher and grander aspects of yourself. So that's why I truly believe, like, yes, it's really cool, if you're activated through a twin flame journey, or if you have this massive moment where you awaken, or you have the opportunity to move across and like leave everything behind. But the reality is that we don't. However, we're stuck in the middle. We want to find out why things keep happening. We want to understand why that feeling within us keeps persisting. We want to understand why the certain situation with this certain relationship is still there. Why I can't get started on my goals. Why my dreams never come true. Why I can't find a perfect, or not perfect, why I can't make my relationship successful. Why do I keep getting cheated on? Why do my jobs always end up this way? We want to find out these things because we know what's happening. And we have this, idea that we're in our life, we know the amount of years we have left to do whatever it is that we came here to do. And there's no point in feeling defeated over that or feeling like there's nowhere to go, because truly the answers that you need are within you. And there's a little technique that I love to help figure out the blocks, the things. And it's visualizing or going back to a scenario where you're about to do something really good for you. So for example, if you want to deliver your first public speech, you're about to deliver that speech. And I like to think about the thoughts that are going through your head just before you start it, the feelings that are coursing through your body just before you start it, because those are really amazing indicators and clues into the deeper things within you that are constantly eating at your confidence with doing whatever it is that you want to do. And it's very hard to just sit there and think about an answer. You do really need that guidance to go back to a scenario and to understand. You need very good questions. You need someone there that can help you discover those blind spots so that you can overcome them. So I hope that helps, and I hope it helps you understand the gift of self-inquiry and what Faith Empire is here to help you do, because I am truly here to help translate some of those amazing things that I've been blessed upon in my twin flame journey. But I do believe that they're not just about being on a twin flame journey. They really are a gift for life. It's a gift for anyone's spiritual journey. So I hope that helps, and I hope you're nice and safe wherever you are in the world today. Sending you lots of love. Bye.